In this video, we will discuss the life and work of Richard Edward Miller, the American artist best known for his portraits and single figures of beautiful women. He was particularly cherished for his depictions of the female nude, often in intimate interior settings. Miller is also celebrated for his impressionistic paintings and has been described as being associated with this movement of stylized beauty and is recognized for his mastery of light and color. His works often feature vibrant patterns and a dynamic use of diagonal lines, creating a sense of introspection. Who was Richard Edward Miller? Let's find out. But first, we welcome you to Realms Beyond, your best destination for learning about the art world past, present, and future. We invite you to stay till the end of this video so you can gain a deeper understanding about today's featured artist. Richard E. Miller, born in 1875, was an American Impressionist painter and a member of the Giverny colony of American Impressionists. Miller was primarily a figurative painter, known for his paintings of women posing languidly in interiors or outdoor settings. Miller grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, studied in Paris, and then settled in Giverny. Upon his return to America, he settled briefly in Pasadena, California, and then in the art colony of Provincetown, Massachusetts, where he remained for the rest of his life. Over the past several decades, he has been the subject of a retrospective exhibition, and his work has been reproduced extensively in exhibition catalogs and featured in a number of books on American Impressionism. Richard Edward Miller was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, which was then one of the largest and most prosperous American cities. His father, Richard Levi Miller, was a well-respected civil engineer from Pennsylvania who specialized in bridges, and his mother, Esmeralda, was a native of Missouri. Miller began drawing and painting as a boy and first worked as an assistant to George Eichbaum, a portrait painter. He studied art at the Washington University in St. Louis School of Fine Arts, first in evening classes in 1891. This was the first art school in the United States that was part of a university, and it relied on the French beaux arts method of curriculum. The courses he took in drawing, modeling, painting, artistic anatomy, perspective, and composition would have been very similar to what a student in France would have received at that time. Miller was known for his work ethic and excelled at the School of Fine Arts, where he studied under Halsey C. Ives, the organizing director of the school. The Chicago World's Fair occurred while Miller studied in St. Louis, and it is believed that he attended the fair and saw the thousands of contemporary works that were on exhibit, including works by the artists of the emerging American Impressionist movement and the tonalist school. During his 5 years at the School of Fine Arts, Miller won many of its prizes and began to exhibit locally in 1894. At Washington University, Miller studied with Edmund H. Werpel, an alumnus of the school who had recently returned from Paris, and whose own works were highly influenced by the French Barbizon school as well as the works of Whistler. Because of his teacher's orientation and the popularity of what was called the tonal school at that time, Miller's earlier works were of quiet landscapes, tonalist in orientation. By 1897, he was working as an illustrator for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and was saving money to go to Paris to further his studies. He was subsequently honored by receiving the first scholarship to study in Paris, awarded by the St. Louis School of Fine Arts Student Association. When Miller went to Paris in 1898, he was already a trained painter and was rapidly making progress at the Académie Julian, the private academy where he and many other American artists studied. He lived a modest existence with other students on the left bank. There, he was acquainted with the Chicago painter Lawton Parker, who helped him get his start in Paris. The large, ambitious works Miller produced at the turn of the century were primarily scenes of Paris café life. In these works of stylish Parisian women, the figures are handled in almost academic fashion, with only some areas of the background painted in an indistinct manner. Miller seemed to turn to highly decorative works of attractive young women in their dressing gowns or kimono about 1904, and these are the works that he is best known for. he would spend summers in the American Art Colony of Giverny, which grew around Claude Monet's estate at about 1906, where he became close friends with Frederick Frieseke, another Impressionist painter. While a number of the American artists in Giverny taught, most of their instruction was informal. In contrast, Miller had an excellent reputation as a teacher, and a number of his students followed him to Giverny, including John, or Jack Frost, the son of the well-known illustrator A.F. Frost, who followed him to Giverny in 1909. That same summer, he met a young woman painter from Maine, Harriet Adams, who would later become his wife. Miller was back in his hometown of St. Louis in the spring of 1910, but it is not known how long he remained there, probably just a few months, because he was back in Giverny that summer. Miller moved back to the United States about the time World War I began. Because of his friendship with Guy Rose in Giverny, Miller moved west to the Los Angeles suburb of Pasadena to teach at the Stickney Memorial Art School. When Miller settled in Pasadena, he could not find a studio that was pleasing with the type of filtered light he liked to use for his painting. So instead, he painted at the home of the wealthy painter and patron of the arts, Eva Scott Fenez. A number of the paintings he is known to have painted in California are clearly cited there. There is a fountain and a pool at the Fenez mansion that appear in several of Miller's paintings. Additionally, he painted a portrait of Mrs. Fenez's granddaughter and a large nude that is in the collection of the Pasadena Museum of History today, located on the grounds of the Fenez estate. Of his classic American Impressionist paintings, production is divided between works that were done in Paris, usually in darker tonalities, the brightly colored works done in Giverny, a brief but productive period in Pasadena, and then his years in Provincetown, Massachusetts. Miller painted landscapes on occasion, but they are rare in Miller's artistic production. The women in his paintings were often depicted looking in a mirror or with a necklace in their hands, doing some sort of activity to keep them from being completely idle. Late in his career, his work turned darker in palette and more somber in subject, and these paintings are not in the same demand as the sunnier depictions of idle women. Miller passed away at the age of 67 in 1943.
If you're enjoying the content so far, I would really appreciate it if you could take a moment to subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know when we upload new videos, and you'll never miss out. Also, don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. It really helps out and lets us know that you're enjoying the content. And if you think this video would be helpful or entertaining for someone else, please share it with them. Finally, make sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video.